Good day, peeps. Liesl here again, and today I'm coming to you with the first of my videos on your questions answered. And I thought I'd begin basically with the most popular question first. And I know other guitar builders have been asked this question, so we'll start there. And basically it is this: Liesl, how many cigars do you smoke in order to obtain all these cigar boxes? Okay, let's take it from the top. Okay, first and foremost, I don't actually smoke cigars. No, I don't. In fact, I don't actually smoke at all, although I did until very recently. So I will talk a little bit about it because I have smoked cigars. And actually this morning, I remember the very first time I smoked a cigar. I must say at this point, I do not condone smoking in any shape or form. I do not condone on my channel any use of nicotine or any addictive substance. I just wanted to make that clear. But also, I do not condemn people that do smoke or use nicotine, in any shape or form. Whether you are what's known as a smoker, someone who smokes, a non-smoker, someone who doesn't smoke, or an ex-smoker, someone who formerly smoked. I love you all the same, absolutely. I don't judge people, that's not my style. But I will talk a little bit in answer to this question. So, basically, the first time I ever smoked a cigar, I was 13 years old. And I used to go to school with this girl called Becky. Her dad was a long distance lorry driver, and he used to drive out through Europe, like France, the Netherlands, all these sorts of places. This is back in the early 1980s. And basically he used to come back with all kinds of duty-free goods. So like alcohol, cigarettes, cigars, perfume, you name it. And often Becky, she'd pill for these and actually sell them at school. I mean, this is how it was in the early 80s. I started smoking far too young. I started smoking when I was 12, actually. And I don't want to labour the point, but I think it is relative to what we're talking about. So I'll talk a little bit about it. Yeah, and I finally quit smoking only a few months ago. So basically, I smoked for 40 years. I'm certain it has done certain damage to my health. I had several attempts to quit. And to be fair, I'm still addicted to nicotine because on the advice of the National Health Service, I switched from tobacco to vapes. Basically because, I did smoke for such a long time, and at one point was quite a heavy smoker, and under the advice of the smoking cessation nurse, and I only speak for myself, she advised actually it might be easier for me to switch to a vape and then to quit nicotine altogether. So this is on medical advice, not just my own opinion, and as I say, this is just really my story. But yeah, as I say, Becky, she used to pinch these off her dad, and she'd sell cigarettes at school. She'd sell cigars. I remember one day she didn't have any cigarettes, but she had cigars, and she was selling them for 10p each, which I think is like a dime or something like that. Right? I know I'm laughing, I shouldn't, it's quite a serious subject, but that was the first time I ever smoked a cigar. It was some great big thing from the Netherlands. And I couldn't really tell you what it was. Another reason why I answer this question is, I get asked this online. I get asked this by people that I know locally. And I think a few people were actually genuinely concerned that I might be sitting here smoking hundreds of cigars, just to basically get the boxes. No, not at all. You can buy empty cigar boxes from tobacconists online, on Etsy, all over the place, and you know, you don't have to smoke cigars in order to you know, partake in cigar box guitar building. I know quite a few on the internet, guitar builders, who have been asked the same question. And as far as I can make out, none of them smoke. No, not at all. None that I've come across anyway. So, yeah, you know, it's not a requirement, right, to smoke, you know, if you want to build these cigar box guitars. As I say, you know, I'm in my 50s now, and when I was young, it was a very different world. You know, here in the UK, when I was young, people smoked everywhere. You could smoke in shops, you know, you could smoke in the cinema, at the movies, you know. You could smoke in restaurants, pubs, bars. I think the only place you couldn't smoke really was like a gas station. And it was advertised everywhere, you know, billboards, in every film and movie, in every magazine, all these things. They advertised cigarettes, cigars, tobacco in glossy, glamorous packets, you know. Film stars, rock stars, all these people would be smoking, you know. And I think most people then, even non-smokers, sort of looked at it as a bit of an undesirable habit. But, you know, as we know today, it's actually an addiction, really. And like I say, I'm not judging anyone. It's only a few months since I quit. And I must say I feel a lot better for it. As I say, I'm still addicted to nicotine. In the UK now, if you go to buy cigarettes, you know, it's a completely different story. I think it's the same in Australia. Like, they come in plain packets in horrible colours. You know, there are nasty pictures and very drastic health warnings all over the packet. And the company logos are no longer allowed on the packet. It will just have the name of the brand in very small letters. So the vendor has to go searching through every single, excuse me, every single rack to find the ones you asked for. Obviously, it's a very different attitude towards it these days. As I say, I started smoking very young, and I smoked for 40 years. And, you know, I'm sure that has damaged my health. Starting to feel a lot better now. I don't judge, don't condemn, like I say, but I don't condone. It struck me this morning, though, you know, that the same thing's happening now, really, with vapes. I mean, I went on to vaping, like I say, the advice of the National Health Service and the smoking cessation team. But I was looking in my handbag this morning, in my purse, you know, and, you know, once or twice I've gone to grab a vape, and then actually pulled out, you know, my eyeliner, or I've pulled out my mascara, right, or I've pulled out my lipstick and actually gone. Now, I wouldn't normally show vapes on camera, and I am putting a disclaimer on this video that this is strictly for over 18s. This is not for minors to watch. So if there are any minors around, pause the video, I'll give you a second or two, and we'll crack on, because I think this is worth talking about, really. Okay, so for anyone who's not familiar with these, here is a disposable vape. Now you can see there are no nasty health warning pictures or anything on there. On the front of the box, there is a warning on the back to say that it's highly addictive. But that's it, you know. And if you look at the front, not exactly glamorous, but some of them are, you know, and they come in all these kind of fruity flavours. This one's called Bull Ice, so it's obviously intended to taste like Red Bull. I can see why there are concerns, you know, about these things, you know, especially with young people, because they do come in fruity flavours. I mean, anyone who smokes cigars will know you have to get used to smoking a cigar. You know, I remember the first time I smoked a cigar, I choked my lungs out, and I've been smoking cigarettes for a year or two already. So there is that to it. But these, you know, they really, it's not until you've had a few puffs on it that you kind of get dizzy and realise you've taken in an awful amount of nicotine. Yeah. As I say, I'm on these now with a view to come off them. I tried all the other methods. Patches I couldn't use. They just gave me a rash all over and my arm started to bleed. I found the spray quite useful. It does make you feel a bit sick sometimes, can get to your stomach. I went back to my cessation nurse and she did say to me, well, perhaps consider a vape. It'll get you off the tobacco. She said they've had quite a lot of success, because I know in different countries and different areas there's different opinions on these. Now, it is the medical opinion here on the National Health Service at least 6 months ago when I last looked. So I'll back this up with facts, if you like. In their opinion, vaping is 95% less harmful than smoking combustible tobacco. Now, you know, we all know years ago, like my grandparents' generation, people thought smoking tobacco was harmless. And I'm sure in a few years, they'll probably find reasons why this isn't very good. I want to say, if you do vape, and if you use these disposable vapes especially, I like them because they don't leak in your handbag. They don't leak in your purse, whereas a lot of those others do. Please dispose of them properly at a recycling point, because they do contain lithium batteries, which is pretty nasty. And, you know, I do think to myself, you know, you're puffing away on this and there's a lithium battery in there. I'm sure in years to come, they may well be saying the same thing about vapes that they say about tobacco now. Yeah. We all know people who've suffered because of smoking. I'm sure we've all lost loved ones down to smoking. I know I have, people that I love dearly, and people that I miss to this day. A lot of them died very premature, you know, down to this addiction. I won't call it a habit, because, you know, I think a habit is something that you get into doing, but it's fairly easy to stop. You know, like, I don't know, picking your nose. I think addiction is probably something else. And, you know, this is a woodworking channel, it's not a health channel. But there is a serious point to what I'm saying. And it does lead on to cigar box guitars. So, all that said, there's my disclaimer. I'll crack on. So, no, I don't smoke any cigars, and I don't smoke at all. What I want to say, though, and this is the more light-hearted end of it, is I actually believe myself, right, so far, that building cigar box guitars actually helped me to quit smoking. Now, you may think that's a bit unusual, you may not, but there's a couple of points that I'd raise to kind of highlight the point, to highlight the fact, if you like. And so, yeah, I'll tell you now. This, right, is my oldest surviving diddly bone. In fact, it's my oldest surviving instrument. It's not the first one I ever built. I call her Kitty because she made this sort of kitten sound. And I probably built her about 6 years ago now. And as you can see with this one, I left the public health warning on there. Just because I thought that was a bit of a novelty, really. And I'd seen others, you know, that were kind of built that way. And yeah, I came to build cigar box guitars basically at the time. I was going through some mental health issues. I had serious depression at the time. And when I got into building cigar box guitars, it was something like a process. It's almost like a meditation. And I did find that it actually helped with my mental health. It got me into doing something regular. It got me up in the morning, working at something, you know, not just sitting there smoking hundreds of cigarettes and like feeling depressed. But the other thing is actually these health warnings. I mean, this is quite old, obviously, it's just the warning. I mean, in the UK, for some crazy reason, like, cigars are in a separate category to cigarettes. Like, years and years ago, they banned advertising of cigarettes in the UK, but they didn't ban advertising of cigars. And like, my whole life, they never were allowed to advertise cigarettes on television. And I was born in the late 60s, but like, right up until very recently, they could still advertise cigars and pipe tobacco. And I think the general idea was that people don't inhale them. Well, if I'm anything to go by, that's not true. Because the first time I ever smoked a cigar, I inhaled it and I choked my lungs out. And, you know, it didn't stop me. From time to time, I did smoke cigars. Whether they're any better than cigarettes or not, I couldn't say. I'm not a medical expert, like I say, and I think it's down to the individual. We're all adults here. We've all got our own opinions on it. So basically, that's it. But as I got into building these, obviously, I went and bought a load of cigar boxes, and they were piled up in the front room. And I've always got cigar boxes knocking around. And every morning I'd get up and I'd see these health warnings. Now, I was the first person to say, oh, these health warnings are no good. They just put them on there to make smokers feel guilty and, you know, just to make you feel left out, or, oh, they're fuddy-duddies and all this sort of thing. You know, when I was younger, I was the first person to say that, you know, and they've got more and more drastic. But I think through my time building these must have subliminally gone into my mind, I think, because every day I was waking up seeing these health warnings, and I think slowly, it must have started getting into my mind, because I actually started to think to myself, you know, I don't really want to smoke. It's not good. I've been doing it for a long time now. I'm lucky that actually, you know, in my opinion, my health's not a lot worse. So I do think that actually, over time, these warnings did actually work. And I wanted to say that because I had reservations about doing this video. I even had reservations about my channel, really, because I thought, you know, it is actually like something to do with smoking. All my videos, you know, are intended for adults to watch only, in any case, and I always put that on there, that these are for adults. I'm going to put a proper disclaimer on here. But I don't really think that a cigar box guitar would particularly encourage the youth to take up smoking, you know. Not like this, anyway. Like I say, many a times you go into your purse, you go to grab your vape and you've got your mascara. You can see what I mean, though. Like, I mean, it's horrible plastic to me, but like, to a younger person, it might seem quite glamorous, I don't know. I was talking to a girl that I know, and she was shocked that like young people started to vape. She said, why would they do it? I said, well, we both started to smoke, didn't we, when we were younger? And she's like, yeah, but vapes are to give up smoking. I said, yes, to you and I they are, but to younger people, they take that up. Like we took up smoking cigars, cigarettes, and all that when we were younger. She thought about it for a minute, and I think she got my point, you know, but let's face it, I'm sure the companies that manufacture these are probably the same companies that manufactured cigarettes, cigars, and all kinds of things like that for years and years. So, yeah, anyway, I digress. But, yeah, that is my most commonly asked question. So the answer is nil. I don't smoke any cigars. I buy the boxes. I import most of them from the United States, actually, because they seem to have a better range. Also in the UK, cigars are incredibly expensive. When I bought the cigar boxes, you know, I bought them from London in England, or I bought some like Florida in the United States. And they always send a brochure with the boxes, you know, advertising the cigars and what have you. I've seen cigars in an American brochure which were $200 for a box, beyond the pockets of a lot of the youth, I would say. I saw the very same cigars in a brochure from a London tobacconist, and they were the equivalent of $750. So quite a difference. So my point there is really, you know, I don't think the fact of building these cigar box guitars, although guitars are cool, and I still think guitars are cool. When I was young, I thought smoking was cool. I think it's anything but cool these days. But I don't think these would particularly encourage the youth, I sincerely hope not anyway, to take up smoking cigars. I think these days it's the pleasure of the more wealthy, you know, except for those little ones with the filters. They sell those in the UK, but really they're to get around cigarette laws here. And it means they can sell them in packets of 10, like they used to, because packets of 10 cigarettes are banned here now. But you can still buy packets of 10 cigars. So basically they're just a cigarette with a cigar leaf wrapped around. They also banned menthol cigarettes here and flavoured ones. But again, with these little cigars, they can sell them because they're classified different. You know, they're not classed as a cigarette, they're classed as a guitar. And, you know, there you go, such is the world these days. And this is how marketing men, I guess, get around the laws in various countries. So, yeah, just my musings, really. That is the most popular asked question, so I thought I'd answer that in the best way that I can. Yeah, I'm still working with the smoking cessation team in order to get off of these also. I just wanted to highlight that. Like I say, we're all adults. We all make our own decisions. Whether people smoke or they don't does not alter my opinion of them one way or the other. And I wanted to say that because, you know, smoking, if you're a smoker, I don't like that phrase. I'd rather say someone who smokes. You know, if someone says, oh, you're a smoker, to me that sounds like that's all you do and that defines the person you are, which it doesn't, you know. It's just something you do, you know. Yeah, that's it. So, anyway, if you've made it to the end, thank you very much. I hope that answered your questions in any case. The next question, the next popular question actually is a lot more guitar based, which is, do I use truss rods? Now, guitaristas out there, you will all know what a truss rod is. If you didn't know, it's a metal rod that on a standard guitar goes through the neck to stop it bending, and you can adjust it. Yeah, it's a very popular question actually, and I see why. I won't answer that now. I'll answer it in the next video because I did think basically that this video here probably warranted its own, you know, this question, sorry, warranted its own video. So there it is. So, yeah, thanks for sticking by. Thanks for dropping by. As ever, anyone watching this video, my wonderful subscribers, all of you, thank you very much for joining me here today. Stay blessed. Keep building. I love you all, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay then. Bye for now. Bye.